Hey guys, what's going on? Druzy here, back again with another South Park Phone Destroyer video and another video in this little series that I'm doing here over the last couple of days, talking about and ranking some different cards of different rarity that I think are still viable within the current meta. Today's topic, of course, is going to be epic cards. Now, a little bit different from the last two videos that I did for both the rare and common is that in the rare and common, I just talked about the 10 cards that I still think are viable, but I didn't rate them. In this video, for epic cards, I'm going to rate them. The 10th best epic card all the way up to the number 1 epic card, in my opinion, within the game. Now, all of this rating is my personal opinion. I will give reasons as to why I rated each of them while I discuss them in this video. But I know some of you guys, as in most of these videos, will go back and forth and debate me on this topic. So feel free to leave all of your debate, rank your top 10 if you want to, down in the comment section down below. I do appreciate your guys' feedback. It does help me in creating different content, give me ideas for content, as well as make me think about, what the community's opinion is on some of the stuff that we do talk about. And because your voice is still important to me and to maybe some other people. So it's always good to see what your guys' opinion is on these ranking systems. So for number 10, Bounty Hunter Kyle. Now this might surprise a lot of you because some of you say, Druzy, he needs to be much higher on this list. Now the main reason why I'm putting him down at number 10 is because yes, he has a ton of value. He is one of the strongest cards in the game right now. He is one of my favorite cards right now. I'm really excited that I have him to level 4. But a lot of you don't have him to level 4. A lot of you have him to level 3 or level 2. Level 3, he's still useful, but he will be killed by Aerostorm. At level 4, he will survive an Aerostorm after you level him up a couple of times. So he's extremely useful at the higher levels. He will also do a little bit more attack boost damage and will do more healing for your units if he kills something. But Bounty Hunter Kyle is still an extremely strong card. But I think the reason why I put him down so low is because most people don't have him to a high enough level to where they can. If most people had him to level 4, I would probably put him at a higher than level 10. But I think because most people don't have him to a higher level, I'm going to put him down a little bit lower. And I still think that there are some epic cards that are still stronger for the reasons that I'm going to discuss in the video. He is within New Kid Zap range at 3.7, so he is going to take zap damage. So that's a kind of a con for him. He is a unit because he's flying. Oftentimes you'll see players take a flying unit and try to cancel it immediately. He's one that people are going to pick on and try to get rid of sooner rather than later. Other range cards that are going to be on this breakdown, or at least on other breakdowns that I'm going to talk about, don't get focused on quite as easily as Bounty Hunter Kyle. But because Bounty Hunter Kyle is so useful, provides so much value with his attack boost, he's an amazing PvE card, one of the best PvE cards in the entire game. And he's a great ladder user. And he's in my main deck that I'm using right now, that I've been using, that I used in the last stream, that I went up 3,000 levels in Legendary Arena into the top 1,500 because of Bounty Hunter Kyle level 4. He is an extremely good card. But there are, again, ones that are better in my opinion, and because of his current level for most average players, I put him a little bit lower tier because of that. But I know this one will be probably one of the biggest ones that people will argue with me on. But Bounty Hunter Kyle is a very strong card, but not higher than number 10 in my opinion right now with the way this system is working. So number 9 will be the Amazingly Randy. Now the reason why the Amazingly Randy is higher than Bounty Hunter Kyle is because most people will probably have him to 3 and 4, and because he summons 2 magic cocks from thin air whenever he summons with his charge ability, and those cocks have been buffed significantly multiple times now within the game, both from the epic buff and the cock buff. So they've got 2 buffs necessarily, and so Amazingly Randy is really strong. He also, his range was increased recently from, I think it was 3 up to 4, so he's not going to be in zap damage, so he's going to be out of that. He's got good health scaling, good damage potential. He's going to summon 2 swarm units that are going to be annoying and hard to deal with at times throughout the course of a fight. I think Amazingly Randy is a very strong range card and one of my favorite undervalued range card. I wouldn't say undervalued. He was undervalued for a long time, and he was not very good for a long time. I think these epic changes really pushed him up much higher as far as tier and as far as usefulness within this game, which I'm pretty excited about because I've always liked Amazingly Randy. I always want Amazingly Randy to be good. I've said that multiple times on videos before within the early parts of me making videos and content for this game. But now that he's actually useful, I use him all the time. He's one of my favorite cards to use within this game right now, and he's definitely an extremely valuable epic card for you to have in your arsenal and in your guys' decks. Coming in at number 8 is Storyteller Jimmy. Now the reason why Storyteller Jimmy is a little bit lower down. There are some better fighter cards and cards still within the game, in my opinion. His enemy attack decrease is now extremely useful. His buff to damage, his buff to health is extremely nice, but it's that aura that is so useful now within the game because it is one of the best ways to counter Cox. So Chicken Coop is running rampant. The Cox that amazingly Randy spawns is running rampant. He was always good at dealing with swarm units and buffing them down. He's now even more significant in that regard. And if you pair him with someone like Towley, or anyone that does any kind of slow, or kind of just will be a tank that will stay in front of him and be methodical and slow down the enemy's progress, he can do a decent amount of damage and be very useful for you. So Storyteller Jimmy is an extremely strong card now after the epic shift. He was already probably a mid-tier card, probably as far as usefulness within the PvP meta. He's now definitely a high-tier card right now because of the buffs that he received, as well as just the fact that his aura is now just more substantially useful for the reasons that I just mentioned. But Storyteller Jimmy is a phenomenal card within this meta, and in my opinion, number 8 on this list. For number 7, guys, Rogue Token. Now, this one might be debated too, but the main reason why I put him down, because at level 5, which not very many people have, some do, but not very many people have a level 5 Rogue Token, he is extremely strong, and probably one of the strongest level 5 epics in the game. But most people have him to probably 3 or 4. And his Warcry damage is not as substantial as you would hope that it would have been based on his level and things like that. So I think that's the main reason why I put him down a little bit lower than some people would probably have him rated, because his Warcry doesn't scale as well as you would like it to based on every other aspect of him, and with just the way that epics and legendaries were buffed and the amount of health that they have, his Warcry isn't quite as devastating as it once was. Now, his primarily used before was to deal with swarm units, to take out rats, take out pigeons, things like that, which he's still extremely good at using that. But now, he can almost wipe out an entire push by himself. He's almost like a secret spell card for the fantasy theme, and he always kind of was in its own right before the changes to epics and legendary rarity cards. But I still think Rogue Token, if his Warcry was a little bit buffed, I think he would be much higher up on this list, in my opinion, because his health and his damage is insanity and is still very useful. He's actually a relatively useful card, other than just his Warcry doesn't define him as much as it used to. Before, it was just his Warcry was the main useful aspect of him. Now the Warcry is not necessarily the most useful aspect of him. It's still very useful, but then his health and damage output is now much more useful than it was before. But I still think there are 6 better than he is, so that's why he is down, obviously, at number 7. But I still think Rogue Token is still an extremely strong card, guys. Don't underappreciate or undervalue him. But I think there are cards that are definitely better than he is, so that's why he is a little bit further down. Next for us at number 6 is Sexy Nun Randy. Probably the best Randy in the entire game, in all honesty, guys. He is extremely strong because of his summoning units. His assassin units that he spawns in little choir boys do a ton of damage and are very, very useful. Now, he only will spawn 1 unit at a time. The nice part about it is that the animation for it is very fast, so he's going to get that assassin out very quickly. He has good health scaling, good damage potential. He's going to do a ton of damage. His assassins are going to help you out a lot, and he is running rampant in this game right now. He is devastating at the lower levels in silver, in bronze, and silver shield, and he is extremely strong even in legendary tiers at level 4 and level 5, and maybe even higher than that. So Sexy Nun Randy is someone you're going to see a lot of. So if you're seeing someone run a mystical deck, you're definitely going to see a Sexy Nun Randy. If you're not seeing a Sexy Nun Randy, I don't know what kind of mystical deck they're playing. But he's still an extremely useful card. Some people are using him as just a tank by itself that spawns units, and maybe not even using Zen Cartman all the time much anymore, because as he levels up, his health that he gets is very substantial at level 4 and level 5, to where he can be used almost as a tank within his own right. So Sexy Nun Randy is still definitely extremely useful, can do a ton of damage, and a very useful card within the current meta. Coming in at number 5, Dog Poo. Dog Poo is really strong now. A level 4 Dog Poo can one-hit any common 6 or below assassin, and can just do a ton of damage to most fighter cards and a couple of hits. He does a ton of damage, has a ton more health now. He is so strong, guys. If you see level 4 Dog Poos, you need to worry about them and take him out as quickly as you can, because he can devastate you. He still has that slow attack speed. That's his only major weakness, and if his attack speed was faster, he would be much higher on this list in my opinion. But his 3 energy cost is really, really nice, to where you're going to be able to get him out more often, and he's just going to do a ton of damage for you and provide a ton of value for you. But there are some better cards, in my opinion, that are a little bit higher, that should be higher up in this list than Dangpu, but he is a devastating card now. Before, you just saw him in Silver and Bronze Shield, and maybe a little bit Legendary Arena for the ones that just had leveled him so high that they didn't have any, that they just basically, I wouldn't say wasted materials, but spent a lot of materials on him, so they just figured they should use him. But now, he is a definite part of the meta now, especially because he's a neutral card, so he can be used in any deck. He's just extremely useful and extremely valuable for you guys, so definitely deserves to be high up on this list. Coming in at number 4 is Choir Boy Butters, because Choir Boy Butters might be the best assassin card in the game now. 2 energy cost, which is the lowest out of any other, which is tied for the lowest in an assassin. He's an epic rarity, which means he got a substantial buff to attack and health, and he does a ton of it. He doesn't have the fastest attack speed, has pretty decent attack speed, but as an epic card, he's devastating. He's everywhere. Every mystical user uses Choir Boy Butters. I don't know anyone that runs mystical that doesn't use him, and if you don't use him, you're dumb, and you should use him. His Death Wish isn't that great. It gives you a little extra energy. I think it's like a fourth of a bar, essentially. But that's not what he's used for anymore, guys. He's used for what he was actually intended to be used for, as an assassin unit, doing a devastating amount of damage in a quick period of time, because that's exactly what he does now. And Choir Boy Butters is one of the unique Butters in that his damage is always higher than his health, which is the only Butters, I think, that, or the only assassin, I believe, that runs in that category. Maybe Inuit Kenny, but Choir Boy Butters will do more damage than he will survive. But he's such a low energy cost, you're going to be able to cycle back to him relatively quickly, and he just does, again, a devastating amount of damage, super useful, definitely deserves to be high up on this list, and that's why he ended up at number 4. Coming in at number 3, guys, Aerostorm. Now, this one was kind of hard for me as far as if I would put cards above this card. This is the best cancel card now within the game. As you can see, I'm very close to getting it to level 4. I'm kind of excited about that, in all honesty, to be able to do that over 300 damage with it. I mean, it just wipes out so much stuff. I mean, there are so many memes about Aerostorm now, about, you put down, 3 or 4 assassin, common cards. They come bum rushing across the screen. You think you got a chance to dominate the enemy new kid. Then or your new kid, spawn Aerostorm. Everybody's dead. It still wipes out a ton of range units, a ton of assassin units. Can do some good damage to some, fighter units and tank units and things like that, but it can devastate a push more than Fireball can, in my opinion now. Even though Fireball does more damage, I think Aerostorm, at a lower cost at 4 energy, and its epic rarity, it's just a very, very good card. The upside, of course, to spell cards is you don't have to use materials to upgrade them. You only need the cards and then cash. Aerostorm is devastating, guys. If you guys have it to level 4, probably everybody that has it to level 4 that's running Adventure will be running Aerostorm. I will run Aerostorm much more often, especially once I get it to level 4. But it's definitely a very strong card, very useful card, and the best spell card for epic rarity for sure in the game right now. Coming in at number 2, guys, and one of my favorite cards of the entire game is Marcus. Marcus is very strong right now. He has a ton of health, decent damage, not great, decent damage, good attack speed though, and it's his charge ability. He throws a drug pillow at the enemy leader, dealing a ton of damage, which that's been buffed significantly. So I have max level 4 with him, 339 damage, 89 attack, and then 156 pillow damage. That's almost half a bar, a fourth of a bar to someone level 19, level 18, 19, 20 new kid. That's a ton of damage, and you can get, sometimes if you're lucky, 2 pillows off with Marcus before he dies. He's a 4 energy cost, which is a really respectable amount for a fighter unit but it's just the amount of health he has is so nice. He's just a mini tank in his own right. Almost 1,000 health, guys. That's insanity. And how much health he has. The damage potential he has. And then the charged ability. There's just so much to like about Marcus. Not to mention, he's also a neutral card. So he can be in any single deck that you want to make him in. So all those things definitely deserves to put him at a higher tier and one of the top cards within the game right now. And some of you might say he's the best. And I wouldn't debate you on that, because he's definitely top 2 in my opinion as far as epic cards within the game. But I have a big reason as to why something got a higher level than Marcus, and I'll explain that here in a second. But Marcus is very, very good. Easily one of my top 5 favorite cards in the game right now, and definitely one that you should have in your decks if you are running anything, because again, he can be used in any deck. Number 1, guys, Chicken Coop. I tell you what, guys, a couple months ago, you would never have said this, uttered this word in your life. Chicken Coop is amazing now. It is so good. It is so widely used because it basically functions as 2 big things. Number 1, a huge giant annoyance, because it spawns a unit every 3.5 seconds, which is annoying as hell. It also is basically a tank card, because it has a ton of health. Even though you're going to put it back in the back, you're usually not going to put it as an actual tank up in front or anything. You're usually going to spawn it behind your new kid. But because it just spawns out so many units, and all it's doing is it's losing damage over time. So the higher level you have it, which means the stronger unit of cock unit or chicken unit you're going to have, and then you're going to have, obviously it's going to last and survive longer. So that's just the more cocks you're going to be ended up spawning. But you just have to view it almost as its own tank card. And then it's an annoyance card. If you can get it to swarm up, because it can swarm up pretty quickly. If you get a Zen Cartman up in front, any kind of big beefy tank, and then you get someone like Bounty Hunter Kyle up top to help buff all those cocks, they could do a devastating amount of damage, can wipe out a ton of stuff. And there's only so many units that really do a devastating amount. I mean, I've seen Chicken Coop devastate a Nelly, even though Nelly's main job is to deal with swarm units. It can take a long time for a Nelly to wear down a Chicken Coop sometimes, or a bunch of cock units, where someone like Rogue Token's going to wipe them out in one go if he's high enough level. You're seeing a lot of level 3, level 4 Chicken Coops right now within the current meta in the higher tiers of PvP for obvious reasons. This is a very strong card now, because of the buffs that were made to cocks, because of the buffs that was made to epic cards, so it has more health, so it lasts even longer. Chicken Coop is a legitimate card within this game, and in my opinion, the best epic card right now. Now, this might be debated. Again, guys, you guys do a great job of doing that. Please let me know down below what you think of these ratings for these cards. If you agree, disagree, that Chicken Coop is number 1. If you agree or disagree that any of these cards are in the position that they are, or if I missed any, if there's any that you think I should have put in place of these cards right now within the current meta system, I'm pretty confident with this list that I did a pretty decent job of it. I feel like I gave good reasons as to why. But thank you guys again for the continued support. You guys have been amazing. Plan to continue to do these more educational videos along with some gameplay videos for you guys, so you get a little bit of both, because I know a lot of you prefer one or the other sometimes. But I definitely wanted to help make you guys more informative for the newer players within the game that maybe haven't been on this game for very long in the last few months, where a lot of significant changes have happened within the game, to kind of give you a better understanding of cards that you can hopefully work on and focus on to make and improve your decks. Although epic cards are going to be harder to level because they're going to be rarer and harder to obtain, but still, if you can get some of these cards that I mentioned and you can get them leveled up to respectable levels, I would put your materials into them to make them as effective for you as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys, my name is Druzy,